What's up, guys? This is yours truly, Empress Chassie Warmington, aka All That Chas, aka Lupus Slayer. Do apologize. I haven't been bringing you all, information about chronic illnesses and immune diseases. This is March is officially Autoimmune Disease Awareness Month, and so I was trying to bring you guys different autoimmune diseases and give you information about them just in case you are experiencing any of these type of symptoms or having any of these type of complications, or you have anybody in your family or friends that may be battling any type of autoimmune diseases, um, or in chronic illnesses. So we're going to go ahead and start this out. Thank you for watching. For all those who tuned in, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. So we're going to start with the Guillain-Barré syndrome. Guillain-Barré syndrome is a autoimmune disease. It messes with your nervous system. Okay, it can also cause muscle weakness, reflex loss, and numbness and tingling in parts of your body. It can lead to paralysis, which is usually temporarily, but you can still get them. It says most people recover, even those with severe cases, which is a good thing. In fact, 85% of people with Guillain-Barré syndrome make a full recovery within 6 to 12 months. So that's a real good thing. Whew. Once you get better, the chances of it returning is very small. So now let's talk about the causes of the Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is also abbreviated as, GBS for the jargon for it. It says the causes for Guillain-Barré syndrome can happen to anyone, but it's most common in people 50 years of age or older. No one's sure. No one's sure if a germ or a virus, like the Zika virus. I know you guys remember the Zika virus causes GBS, which is Guillain-Barré syndrome. It could be that some illness alter your nerve system and your nerve cells, so your immune system starts to view them as threats. Others think your immune system forgets which cell it should attack. It usually shows up a few days or a week after a cold, stomach virus, or the flu. In rare cases, surgery or vaccinations can trigger it. You may hear doctors mention, um, what's this, Camp, Campali, Campylobacter, Camp, I don't even know how to pronounce this word, Campylobacter. That is a type of bacteria associated with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Campylobacter. Campylobacter. I guess that's the name of it. Whatever. When you have it, your immune system begins attacking your nerve cells. That weakens their ability to send signals, to send signals to your brain. And your muscles then can't respond like they need to respond. As a result, your brain gets fewer messages, and of course, because it get fewer messages to your brain, it ends up your body doesn't get the messages at all either. So the Guillain-Barré syndrome, the symptoms of it, strikes quickly. You usually feel it in your arms and in your legs, which, you know, most people who have nerve damage or have some type of severe nerve issues normally happens in their arm and their legs. It can come from trauma. It can come from car accidents. Like for me, that's how my nerve and antibody trauma came about, from a car accident. So it can cause, different ways your nerves cells can get messed up. But you know, most people notice weakness in their muscles, or they would, it feels like pins and needles, like those sharp pains in their muscles and stuff, tingling in your hands and in your feet, which can be kind of tricky, because sometimes if you sit down on your hand too long, or you position your hand or your feet too long, it can start having this tingling sensation. So you kind of like have to try to guess what is what. and stuff. And most people, they don't ever think that it's more than just, them having their hand in a certain position so long. So, a lot of people don't ever think about Guillain-Barre syndrome. Most people haven't even heard of it. I never heard of it either until I start dealing with autoimmune deficiencies and diseases myself. So that's when I start learning about different types of autoimmune diseases. And so, but your reflexes, can be slower. You could be feeling really tired and sluggish if you have Guillain-Barre. And again, this is the tricky thing. If you with mostly every autoimmune disease, a chronic illness, or the chronic diseases, they have a lot of the very same similar basic symptoms. Most of their basic symptoms are weakness, fatigueness, having issues holding things, stumbling, staggering, um, having problems with their continuity, having problems with um, balance and stuff like that. So it can be really tricky when it comes to autoimmune diseases to pinpoint a lot of times which one it is. That's why it takes a series of tests, and it can be a long process depending on what's going on in your body and how your body is or is not responding to certain medications that may be given to you um, for autoimmune diseases, okay, or to treat your symptoms so that they can find out exactly what type of autoimmune disease that you have. But if those symptoms get worse, as always, you should dial 911. That's a given. But those are particularly the symptoms of Guillain-Barre syndrome. It doesn't seem significant because, like, to be honest, but that's just a common symptoms. Those are common symptoms people get from working. Even just an 8-hour shift, or if they go to school and they work, or if they just have, a sensitive immune system or whatever. They can experience weakness. They can experience dizziness. They can experience tingling. So, again, some of these same symptoms that this Guillain-Barre syndrome poses is similar symptoms that a lot of people have in general. And experience, I'm sorry, allergies, guys. I'm so sorry. But, your treatment, you go to your doctor have diagnosed you with Guillain-Barre syndrome. You will start, getting like spinal tap. The doctor, sorry, will insert a needle into your lower back, and take small amount of spinal fluid out so that they can check the protein level, because a lot of times too, that if you have low protein or you have too much protein in your body, it can cause problems. And I know for me, I used to have too much protein in my body at one point in time, and that was weird because I didn't understand how I had too much protein in my body, but I used to have that at one point in time. But those are some things that that's information pretty much about Guillain-Barre syndrome. It's not doesn't seem very severe, significant compared to many of the other autoimmune diseases there are out there. There's over 100 different types of autoimmune diseases, and every year there's a different kind that seems to pop up. So, whatever. Now, what we're going to talk about now is chronic inflammatory demyelinating. I don't even know if I pronounced that word. Let's do this. Because I want you all to make sure. I told you I don't be pronouncing these words because they be just having these words. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like, how do you even pronounce it? How do you begin to even fix your mouth to pronounce words like that? So let's see. Okay, we're finna. Let's go. Here we go. Demyelinate. Okay, there we go. Demyelinating polar. Chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. I'm sorry, it's just these words. Oh my gosh, like who comes up with these names for these symptoms. They need to be knocked in their damn head. Maybe they ass crazy. I don't know. This is funny. But we're going to call it for short CIDP, okay? Because I'm not going to be trying to pronounce chronic inflammatory dylaninating polyneuropathy. I'm not going to have to say that. I'm not saying all of that. It just sounds, I don't know, there's too much in my mouth. It just feels like blockage in my mouth. I don't like that, okay? I don't like stuff blocking my mouth. But anywho, okay, CIDP is a neurological disorder, a condition that targets the body's nerves. Again, like most autoimmune diseases, they target the daggone nerves. Always something about the nerves. Symptoms aren't the same for everyone, but you may feel tired and have areas of numbness and pain. Again, if you just remember when I was explaining what the Guillain-Barré syndrome is, it's the same. That's also, the Guillain-Barré syndrome is also an autoimmune disease. So it's, as you can see, the CIDP and the Guillain-Barré syndrome have the exact same type of symptoms. So again, that's why it's really hard a lot of times to pinpoint exactly what type of autoimmune disease that person have. You have to go through extensive testing a lot of time because this is proving that it has the same symptoms. Even from previous videos that I did this month for autoimmune diseases, if you notice, most of those same autoimmune diseases, from rheumatoid arthritis to multiple sclerosis, lupus, inflammatory bowel disease, a lot of them have the exact same symptoms. So here we go with this, and it has the same symptom as the Guillain-Barré syndrome. So this is why, you can't just ignore stuff because it's similar to something else. And that was something that I did. I was like, when I was experiencing, the symptoms of lupus and didn't understand why I was feeling and stuff, just take the behind the doctor, stop being rebellious. Anywho, it can slow your reflexes. Again, Guillain-Barré and other autoimmune, it can slow your reflexes, make your arms and legs feel weak. You may have symptoms for at least 8 weeks for the CIDP to be considered the cause. Okay, most people need treatments, and the sooner you begin it, the better chance of your complete recovery. Sometimes symptoms go away for a long time and then come back later. Autoimmune diseases are like that. Chronic illnesses are like that. The symptoms, they can go away for long periods of time and then they can come back and put you on your back, literally. Anyone could get the CIDP, but it's most common in older adults and more in men than in women. As many as 40,000 people in the USA may have the condition or may get the condition, but that's still up in the air. It's not, etched in stone. So let's see what causes it. What causes the chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy condition? Experts aren't sure why people get it. Go figure, right? They don't know what is. They do know that it is caused by the inflammation of your nerves and nerve roots, but they don't know what causes it to do that. The swelling can destroy the protective covering around the nerves, known as myelin. 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 It can hurt nerve fiber and slow the nerve's ability to send signals. This is what causes the weakness and the pain and the fatigueness and the numbness, because it's not sending signal to your brain. So, and your brain isn't going to know to defend or whatever. This is ironic, right? See, I'm going to tell you what I do. I get my resources from Mayo Clinic and from WebMD. Right now I'm using WebMD.com. And I was just comparing this to the Julian Barr syndrome, and guess what? This is what it says. Is it? It has this in it. It says, "Is it the same as the Julian Barr syndrome?" No. CIDP is closely related to Julian Barr syndrome, but it is definitely not. They're both are nerve problems. They both cause system symptoms such as weakness, numbness, but the GBS, which is the Julian Barr syndrome, usually comes on days or weeks after a person has an illness such as stomach bug. The CIDP, though, which is the chronic inflammatory demyelinating uh, polyneural polyneural polyneuropathy para whatever. Y'all know what I'm saying. It's a link to the illness with GBS. Boy, these are some tongue tires. You hear me? Once treated, most people recover fairly quickly. CIDP, on the other hand, tends to be longer term problem. In rare cases, people who don't recover from the Julian Barr syndrome often get the CIDP. So, how's it diagnosed? There's no test to necessarily diagnose the CIDP. Instead, your doctor will ask questions about your symptoms, start to how you feel, and do a physical examination and all of that stuff. Give you tests, check your antibodies and all of that, check your nerve cells and stuff. They put the dye in you, ink dye into your body, and they check your nerve cells out to see what's going on with you. Um, but is it could- it that's just pretty much it in a nutshell. Um, what this CIDP is. Um, Now it can also have other related issues or treatments. Let me go up here and um, oh, it just shows the different types of treatments. I'm not going to try to pronounce hardly any of that stuff other than the stem cell transplant, the immune, the immunotherapy, the plasma exchange (PE), the intravenous what's this immunoglobulin, globulin, whatever that is, and the corti what's this corticosteroids, steroids, something corticosteroids, whatever. Honey, I'm not no doctor. I'm not trying to be pronouncing all these damn words. Ain't doing it. But anyway, that's what pretty much chronic inflammatory dylanitine polyneuropathy disease is. So, you know, just again to reiterate with autoimmune diseases, they a lot of them have a lot of the same symptoms, and they have symptoms that are things that people mostly commonly get from working to, if you work and you get tired, and so you may feel weak, you may feel a little numbness, you may feel exhausted, you may have these kind of problems, you may stagger because when you're tired your body's exhausted, you can stagger, you can have balance issues. So a lot of times it's so easy to just ignore because you don't think it is. But when you are obsessively tired and exhausted, and even if you have anemia, because a lot of times people be like, "Oh, it's just the anemia." Oh, I do have vitamin D deficiency and stuff. It could be something much different, much more in depth with that. Because, and I'm just going to throw this in here right quick. When I know one of the things with a lot of the previous doctors that I had is they would just look at the fact that I, have anemia. They looked at the fact that I, had the tendency to have potassium and magnesium deficiencies and vitamin D deficiency. So anytime I would go to the doctors, they wouldn't really look up, really run tests on me and stuff, even when I was specifically request, because I'm just like, no, it's something more. I can't explain it. I said, I know I might not be a doctor or, a surgeon, and this isn't my profession. I said, but I know my body. And I'm like, this is my body. And I'm just letting you know that there's something more going on with my body. And a lot of times, what I have found out, there's a lot of doctors that do not want to hear you out. They like to ignore you. They like to tell you that it's in your head, that you're just overthinking, because it's like less work for them to do. They don't want to have to run the tests, and they don't want to have to do certain things. But that's why, like, I don't be afraid to change doctors, because for me, I changed my PCPs 3 different times. And on the third time, for me, that third time was a charm. Third time was a charm for me. My PCP, she looked over my records. She looked over things that was done. She looked over my previous lab work. She looked over everything. And she just immediately sent me to specialists, because she's just like, okay, they're doing the same stuff. Nothing is working. They're doing the same things, and she's still just having the same problems, and they're just getting worse. So obviously, what they're doing is not working. So she just starts sending me to specialists, and going through the specialists is when I started having tests done that I never even heard of. I never even knew there was a test where you are strapped down to a table. Now that for me was really hard. Like, I really, like, psychologically, that was really hard for me to process that and to get that test done. I would put it off. I remember when I found out what the test, what the detail, we put it off. I had kept putting it off, because for me it was psychological. For me, because of a bad situation that happened to me when I was younger. Um, you know, it was a tragic situation for me, a traumatizing, rather. Not, it still was tragic for me. I feel like it was tragic for me, but it was very traumatizing for me. So I was really nervous about being strapped to a table. That I didn't want to do. But that was part of finding out what was going on with me. But that was a test that I never knew existed. So there could be different things that come about that you didn't know exist. But all in all, do not just ignore things in your body, especially when it happens on a regular basis. Try to keep a log. I know it's easier said than done, because even me, even though I have a log, it still be challenging for me. Let me see if I can show you all this log that I have in my clipboard. Where's my clipboard? Where's my clipboard? Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Okay, so I remember now. I took it off my clipboard. Duh. I'm like, what the heck? Because I'm using my clipboard for something else. I knew I wasn't going crazy, though. But this is what I would do is I keep a log. What I do is, like, common symptoms that I know I have on a regular basis, or that comes very frequent. What I did is I made a chart. On this chart, it says health chart. That's what I call it. I have, let me just put one down. I have for my date. Then I have different types of symptoms. Like right here, it says any lupus symptoms flared up, any vasovagal syncope symptoms flared up, any rheumatoid arthritis symptoms flared up, migraine, nosebleed, vomiting, regurgitating, when I eat or when I do not eat, back, neck, arm, foot pain, swelling, breathing issues, night sweat, weakness, loss, loss of strength when after eating, took all meds, sleepwalking, insomnia, spasm, spells, restless, did me faint or pass out, get lethargic. So I have my chart that for me that I write when I have symptoms, I can just and I put inside of each box yes, no, so that I can just circle them. And then down here, I have a section where I put my notes. For me, I have to actually go to this extent because of how aggressive the chronic illnesses and diseases that I have. So I actually have, like a lot of, I have a lot, I keep, I try to keep as much record as possible so that I can have it for my doctors. When I go to my doctors, they can see how frequent I'm having these symptoms, because that can help them better try to understand what kind of treatment is or is not working, or try something different. Because and then with some of these chronic illnesses, diseases, these autoimmune diseases, you can get treatment. You can be self-medicating yourself just by changing your diet. um, I saw, well, one of my friend's colleague, she actually changed her diet up where she's not doing any kind of um, flour, like cake flour, bread flour, no sugars. She's changed her diet up, and I'm gonna tell you, it is hard to do that when you're not used to it. Even when your life is at stake, it's your health and your life is literally at stake. It's really hard to do that because your body can go into shock. And I'm gonna tell you, when your body go in shock, it's just imagine how somebody be like, oh, you get off drugs very easy, all you gotta do is go get detox and you do that. Let me tell you, it's really hard for your body to adjust, to change, when it has constantly had it that way for so many years, for so long period of time. And some people actually die early, excuse me, even though they become healthy, finally become healthy, they will die because their body still haven't recovered from the shock. So you have to, some people can stop cold turkey, then some people can't, like me. Make it actually cut stuff off cold turkey because my body is very used to it. The only thing that I have struggled with the most, with cutting off cold turkey, has been cheese. Cheese and coffee have been the only two things that I really have struggled with the most, cutting, when to cut cold turkey, because I don't just crave it. Like, my body doesn't just feed it. I have I have, like, my body would shut down. I would get so sick that I would be sweating and my skin would break out. Like, I'm serious. Like, I would be throwing up constantly, constantly, till I get my body that fix. Like, my body goes through that, and I'll be trying everything else. I'll be trying to, improvise and do everything else to try to calm it down, and it just makes it worse. I get sicker, and it gets to the point where my body can't even take it, and my body would just shut down. And so, and not just shut down from just being weak, but I would be in so much excruciating pain. So sometimes you can't just cut off cold turkey, but you can gradually do it. Start substituting stuff. Like, for me, I'm a chocoholic too. That's another thing. I love chocolate. So for me, to break the chocolate spell, I do carob instead of cocoa. Something better, alternative. Even cocoa, natural 100% cocoa isn't bad for you, but overconsumption of anything can be bad for you, whether it's strawberries, apples, bananas, grapes. It don't matter if it's healthy. If it's an overconsumption of it to your body, it can turn around and be bad for you. So balance and moderation is key. Okay, so now we're going to go to psoriasis, which is also an immune disease. Psoriasis is a chronic skin condition caused by overactive immune system. Symptoms include flaking, inflammation, and thick white, silvery, red patches of skin. Psoriasis treatments include steroid creams, occlusions, light therapy, and oral medications such as biologics. Um, it can there's a lot of different types of things that with psoriasis, you could get them through genetics, or you could get it through, excuse me, sometimes swimming in lakes or oceans. Certain sometimes seawater and ocean waters doesn't mellow out good with people. Everybody can't swim in the ocean. Everybody can't swim in the sea or swim in the lake, swim in the river, because there's different types of agents in microscopic bacteria, germs in those particular waters. That's why, like, if you swim in open lakes, oceans, rivers, seas, you really open yourself up to parasites. And a lot of people don't realize that, because you got to understand those a lot of bacteria and parasites and viruses lives in those type of water beds, so bodies of water. So when you put yourself in those waters, you got to make sure you have a very strong immune system. Even when you have a very strong immune system, you can still become prey to and victim to bacteria and parasites and things like that are in those waters. So different things can cause, psoriasis and cause you to have them. And of course, the symptoms are very easy to identify. Your skin start peeling, your skin start getting severy and stuff. You start getting a lot of patches on your skin. And another thing with chronic illnesses, as you can all see with my skin, anybody see my skin before, and before the lupus started getting really aggressive? Y'all know my skin was never like this, but it started getting more aggressive. My skin started really breaking out. I started really having a lot of problems. I started getting the steroid medication, started putting a lot of weight on me and stuff. So my skin has started breaking out a whole lot. Now this right here, though, that came from a burn. That's not it. I was eating uh, a patty, a veggie patty, and it just came out, and I don't know what I was thinking about, because I knew it just came out, and they told me, because I seen it when it just came out, and me being greedy, because I wanted it so bad, I just bit into it real. I mean, like, not like a big bite, because I knew the feeling was very hot, but very little, and then some of it, because it hadn't, had a time to settle a little bit, it was still loose, so it just fell out and it burned. But all of this right here, all of this skin breakage and stuff, that's from autoimmune disease issues. That's from the lupus. The lupus also, because just because there's 5 different types of lupus. Just because you have one type doesn't mean you can't have more than one. To me, I have multiple types of lupus. I have the skin, and I also have the most aggressive and deadly kind, which is the lupus SLE. But psoriasis, I'm glad I don't have the psoriasis, but the lupus, if skin condition, is a lot like psoriasis. So that's why you definitely need to know the difference, because it is different types of treatments, similar, a very lot of similar treatments, but the lupus is way worse. Skin lupus disease is way worse than the psoriasis. The psoriasis, actually, one of my nephews, he actually was dealing with that, but he started, was getting treatment on a regular basis, and now he doesn't have it anymore. His skin has been completely cured. He's been completely cured from it altogether. So you have to know. You go to the doctor, make sure you deal with specialists who are very proficient, who are patient, who doesn't mind explaining things to you, because that's going to help you, get cured. But these are the 3 chronic autoimmune diseases that I wanted to cover today, which is the Julian Barr syndrome, the chronic inflammatory dami. Okay, here we go. Demyelinating. What's this? Okay, so the chronic inflammatory dam- dami- demyelinating what's this? Poly, polyneuropathy. That's one, and then the psoriasis. So these are the 3 that I wanted to talk to you all about. But that's pretty much those in a nutshell. Those are, there's not too much details as far as like needed necessary details about those because they're not as aggressive or as deadly as other ones. But you still want to make sure that you get yourself checked out. And again, it's easy for us to push stuff off because when we're normally used to dealing with tiredness, exhaustion, and having issues from working because we're tired and stuff, we don't ever think it's more than that. But if you start noticing certain change, like you start feeling nauseated, all of a sudden start feeling lightheaded, all of a sudden start feeling, even if it's just for a short period of time, start feeling kind of short of breath. Anything that's that's all the ordinary, but at the same time, that's ordinary, but at the same time, unusual. Like it seems like it's more aggressive or it's more frequent or or just feel something different with it, go to the doctor because you could be battling an autoimmune disease. There's over 100 different types. And normally, if you have a mild type of autoimmune disease, if it goes untreated, it normally develops into a more aggressive and more deadly form of autoimmune disease. So you want to make sure that you get checked out, okay? But thank you all for watching, for listening to me. Please make sure you click on the link and sign my petition. It only takes about 10 seconds. You don't have to donate any monies or anything. That's up to you solely because I don't know why change.org automatically do that. When it's it automatically asks you if you want to make a donation, and I think that pops up first, and I don't like that because I don't want people to get scared and get deterred from wanting to support it because they think they have to make a donation. No, you don't have to make a donation, but please just sign it. It only takes like 10 seconds for you to give me your signature and sign with your email and your government name, please, because they do verify. Thank you so much. And again, you guys have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the week. God bless, one love, peace. And I'm out of here.